Hi, welcome back to Math Enhancement. I am still your professor, Nadine Alex Bravo. For this session of math, we are still in algebra, and for a series of videos that we have, we will be discussing quadratic equations. For this first video, okay, we will be talking about quadratic equations and its definition. So what are quadratic equations? Previously, we learned about linear equations, and you know for sure the definition of linear equations. These are equations whose highest degree term, or the term that contains the highest degree, has an exponent of 1. If it is a quadratic equation instead, okay, let me just be specific on this session. We will be talking about quadratic equations in one unknown. That means there will be only one type of variable, or there will be only one type of unknown that would occur in your equation, and that is your quadratic equation in one unknown. It's possible for you to have quadratic equations but have two unknowns in them. That's still considered quadratic equation, but for this series of videos, we will be talking about quadratic equations which only have one unknown. Okay, so a quadratic equation in one unknown is an equation wherein one of its terms, or it contains a term whose highest power is 2. So this is one in which the highest power of the unknown occurring is equivalent to 2. Okay, the first degree term and the constant term may or may not be present. In general, a quadratic equation has ax squared plus bx plus constant plus c equivalent to 0 as its general form. That means it's composed of three types. There possibly are three types of terms that could occur in your quadratic equation in one variable. The second degree term, or your quadratic term, the first degree term, or your linear term, and of course, your term that does not contain the variable or is your constant. A, B, and C here. A, B, and C here are real numbers. Okay, and where A cannot be equivalent to 0, because if A is 0, that will lead to an equation that does not contain an x squared, okay, or an unknown raised to 2. That means it will turn your equation to a linear equation. Okay, you can have B or C or both to be equivalent to 0, okay, but you cannot have A equivalent to 0. So for example, you have the first equation which contains the three components, the second degree, the first degree, and your constant. You have the second example which contains just the second degree term and the constant. It's still considered a quadratic equation. And you have the third equation, which is 2x squared equal to 0, which is still considered a quadratic equation in one unknown, even though you do not have your first degree term or your constant. All of these are considered quadratic equations in one unknown. Being able to identify if an equation is a quadratic or if it is a linear, if it is cubic is very important, because it will tell us what kinds of solution we can do to solve these equations.